We have a major Milwaukee Bucks trade update to go over today as a new report has dropped, revealing a new Bucks target. We're going to break down that report and discuss what this means going forward as the Bucks prepare to make a move to reinforce their team. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. Before we get into it, quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. If you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, but 83% of you who are watching aren't, this is the place to be. So make sure to hit that subscribe button as we're on the road to 2,500 subscribers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of trade reports going on, a lot of trade rumors. The Bucks obviously are a team right now. They're doing pretty well. They're rolling a little bit. But despite their win yesterday, which was a huge win, they still need some reinforcements. Ladies and gentlemen, a new report has dropped. And again, we keep you up to date with all the latest Bucks news here. So you can see this here. Nikola Vucevic, Robert Williams, Jonas Valanciunas, Nick Richards, and Daron Sharp are currently viewed as the most likely centers to be moved by the trade deadline. Multiple second-round picks is the buzz around probable base compensation alongside necessary salary matching. Now, this is, of course, a general report. We have one about the Milwaukee Bucks here in a minute, but just starting off in the bigs that are available. So you have Vucevic. He's obviously at the top of the list. Granted, his salary is a lot bigger. He's a bigger fish and a bit more of a risky fish. You also have Robert Williams, Jonas Valanciunas, Nick Richards, and Daron Sharp. Now, when you're looking at who would fit the Bucks well, we've done several videos on Robert Williams, which makes some sense. We've done some videos on Jonas Valanciunas, and we've heard some talks about Jonas Valanciunas. But a guy we're going to be talking about today, and a lot of Bucks fans haven't talked about him much, is Nick Richards. And you're looking at some of the other guys. Again, you think about what the Bucks need. Jonas Valanciunas could fit well. He'd kind of be that replacement of Bobby Portis, which is, of course, super interesting. But when you're looking at Nick Richards, he is super, super intriguing here. And this is the report. The Bucks, the Kings, the Knicks, the Lakers, the Nuggets, and the Suns are among the teams recently expressing trade interest in Nick Richards. Richards is averaging 9.2 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks per game. The Hornets are open to moving some of their veteran for future draft capital. So this report dropped and is actually very intriguing because you think about obviously, all these teams in the mix for Nick Richards are, competitive teams. They're all trying to make their team better, whether that is the Bucks, the Kings, the Knicks, the Lakers, Nuggets, Suns, all in different, sectors are trying to compete or in buy now mode. So they're going to be going up, the Milwaukee Bucks, it is, up against a lot of teams that have more draft compensation than the obvious Milwaukee Bucks. And when you think about the Bucks draft compensation at this point, it is basically the 2031 first, the 2031 second round pick. Those are the two picks that the Bucks have. Now, if they want to go out and they want to get any of these guys, because they gave up the second round picks for Jay Crowder, not 5 first, that would be crazy. The 5 second round picks for Jay Crowder, those 5 second round picks now, they're a bit more, the Bucks have a lot less second round picks than most of these other teams. When you think about the Lakers, they have some seconds, even though they gave up some in the Dorian Finney-Smith trade. The Knicks, the Bucks, the Kings, most of those teams, the Kings, the Suns have second round picks that they can float around. And the big question mark is, will the Knicks be able to, or the Bucks, be able to offer that extra bit of compensation, whether that be in the form of a young asset, whether that be in the form of, they have their 2031 second round pick, which might be a little bit more valuable than a lot of these other teams' second round pick, because who knows about the uncertainty of the future with Giannis and all those things. So that's the interesting thing. And when you look at Nick Richards, he cannot shoot the ball, but he is a defensive minded, backup center. And he would be a pretty good fit if you put him behind, of course, Brook Lopez. And in a deal like this, you probably wouldn't have to give up a ton. You'd obviously have to give up salary fillers, and it becomes very interesting because the Bucks do need some more scoring off of the bench. And I want you all to leave a comment down below. Out of these centers you see on the screen now, who would you prefer the most out of these guys? Because it could be, Nikola Vucevic. It could be Robert Williams. Now, the Bucks don't have enough second-round picks to get Nikola Vucevic. They would have to give up a first-round pick, most likely, and they're not going to do that. So I don't think Vucevic is super likely. Robert Williams is an interesting one. And then if you're between Robert Williams and Nick Richards, Robert Williams is getting benched. He's getting DNPs by his coach there in Portland, Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups isn't playing Robert Williams despite being healthy and a couple years removed from, Defensive Player of the Year finalist. So if you're looking at an offensive upgrade, Jonas Valanciunas. Now, when you look at this team and as it's currently constructed, again, your backup 5 is Bobby Portis. They don't really have a true center. So if you want a center to help back up and play big against those lineups like the Nikola Jokic's of the world, Joel Embiid's of the world, and you want a bigger center, you obviously have Brook Lopez who can stretch the floor. You can afford to give up, some spacing in, lieu of acquiring a guy who is a defensive-minded big. Obviously, get some rebounds, get some, blocks, all these different things. And Nick Richards in particular averages a block a game, 9.2 minutes, 21 points. Hasn't started a ton this year. Started about half his games. He wouldn't start for the Milwaukee Bucks. He'd be off the bench. And you start to think about how this would work. I think it would fit very well on this team. I think it would make a ton of sense. I think it would really help fill out this, team to make them better, though this cannot be the last move. You cannot have a Nick Richards, trade deadline and that be it. You still need to add some other players. You need to add some other players. You need to talk about, of course, adding another scorer off of the bench. You have AJ Green, you have Gary Trent Jr., you have Chris Middleton. Like, that's a very good bench unit. But maybe if they go out and they get a point of attack defender, could be very interesting there. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. Another article dropped basically naming Nick Richards. There's a lot to like about him. He's 27, mobile, excellent shot blocker, and perhaps the most important for a cash-strapped team like the Bucks. He makes just $5 million. Checks off a lot of the boxes for a team that is reportedly hunting for a rim-running lob threat complement. Starter Brook Lopez. Striking with the financial point, the Bucks can make an offer without gutting assets. They could offer Pat Connaughton and some draft capital. They don't have much. Like Pat Connaughton the second. I mean, if that gets it done, you do it tomorrow. You do it yesterday. You drive Nick Richards out to, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do. We also have some updates ahead of tomorrow night's game. But again, out of these players, let me know which one you would prefer if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan. Of course, we're all Milwaukee Bucks fans, but let me know which one you prefer out of these. I think Nick Richards would fit well, especially given how much he had to give up. I also don't mind Jonas Valanciunas if you're trying to upgrade the defense core a little bit there. And again, the Bucks are among teams interested. But looking ahead to their big game. So they have a game tomorrow, of course, they're at New York. And you look at who's available. So Gary Trent Jr. is questionable. You have Giannis, Lillard, and Middleton all kind of dealing with the same injuries they've been dealing with the whole year. Just load management stuff, all probable. So it's good. And the big story here would be Chris Middleton. They've been managing his minutes a lot. Of course, his tendonitis, his bilateral ankle injury management. He's going to play. They're probably going to, all signs point to him playing off of the bench again. And I like the way Chris Middleton has looked off the bench. I mean, I think the team plays better when he's on the bench. I think the team plays worse when he's starting. And we've seen Andre Jackson Jr. contribute mightily to what has been an elite defense for the Milwaukee Bucks here. A very good defense, defensive rating, advanced analytics. And a big part of that is having Chris Middleton on the bench, of course, but having Ajax playing. You see the Bucks defense over the last 12 games are second in defensive rating, first in NBA defensive rebounding percentage, second in NBA opponent second chance points. An interesting point was made here, and it's more than just Ajax. He literally only plays the first 5 to 6 minutes of every half and doesn't touch the floor again. A lot of credit to Doc and Horst on this roster. Still need fixes, but this is a much better team than last year. And a lot of that is, of course, Andre Jackson Jr., who comes in and really just plays little bits, matchup dependent, being a point of attack defender, all these different things. Doesn't play a ton, but what he does do is give you great defense. If they can add one more guy, one more scorer even. But again, if you could shift AJ Green into the starting lineup as well and do a lot of the things that Ajax does, not quite as well. Ajax is a much better defender, much better point of attack defender, much more gritty. But despite being more gritty, he's an offensive negative. Ajax is. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Everyone should be good to go. Minus Gary Trent Jr. Hopefully he's going to be able to get, back in the game because coming off of a rough game last game. But again, before that, he had a really hot one against the Raptors. That'll wrap it up. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. Do you want to see the Bucks trade for Nick Richards? Let me know. Thank you guys for watching. Cheers.